feel like if you do focus in on that and make that some type of point of emphasis, I believe that you're doing a complete disservice to his full body of work. That's just me personally. I thought that Dan Campbell played to his strengths and played to his style all season long, and he put together a very impressive season, one in which they were the only contender to have not lost back-to-back games all season. And you talking about losing your number one cornerback right off the gate, losing CJ, having some injuries at some very, very vital and key places, relying holistically on rookies on both sides of the ball. What are we really talking about? They had to also utilize a bunch of fill-ins, sign people off the street. They had to keep going and mismatch. We were talking about, hey, they brought in Bruce Irvin, who played and they had to find a way to make sure that he could be successful for the time that he was there. When I look at the full body of work, I'm just hoping that that decision didn't have anything to do in people's minds more so than everything else that I believe he had to overcome this season to get this team to 12-5 and deal with the sting of, realistically, whether it's reckless or not. I think the NFL has more egg in their face in that Dallas game than Dan Campbell.
Yeah,
just period.
Absolutely, of course.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And Eduardo, he corrected me or confirmed in the chat here. They actually do the voting after week 17, so it's after that Dallas game.
Of course.
You got to wonder if Dan Campbell, and actually this statement doesn't make sense now, but if Dan Campbell had won that game, forget the decisions and the coaching mistakes. They end up the season 13-4. It looks a little bit different. I mean, a 13-win Detroit Lions team.
I think that could have played a part as well, because when you look at it, that Dallas game was probably the best team we played the whole year. Everybody's eyes was on that game. I think that probably played a part in why they, voted against him in that
I think it's just easy to be against Detroit. I think it's just an easy thing to do.
Well,
and that's what I honestly feel. Because if we were a fan of any of these other teams, I think that we would see bad decisions and questionable decisions as well. I do. I just feel like we would see Stefanski made this decision or that decision. But Detroit was one of those teams that no matter what national network you looked at, none of them, you saw everybody talking about them. Whether they were doing good, then all of a sudden everybody would say, yo, the Detroit Lions are top 5. And then when they're bad, I'm never putting them on my top 5 again.
That's true.
That's what they were all season with all eyes on them. I think some of these other coaches might have benefited from the fact that people weren't as scrutinizing of what they had, one way or the other this season.